Hello, welcome to this week's edition of Valley Voice. I'm your host, Xander Chamberlain. Today we're going to talk about the Neuqua Valley Athletic Hall of Fame. And with me, I have cross-country coach, Mr. Paul Vandersteen. Mr. Vandersteen, how are you doing today?
Great, thanks for having me.
So what is the Hall of Fame, first of all?
Well, the Hall of Fame is an acknowledgement of great accomplishments in athletics in Neuqua Valley's history.
All right, and so who started it?
Well, Barb Barros, who retired a couple years ago as our athletic director, us and some veteran coaches got together after Neuqua Valley turned 20 years old. We decided it was time to start a Hall of Fame so that we could start to acknowledge some of the great accomplishments that we've had over the years.
Okay, so it's not only athletes that are in it. With I see that Barb Barros, the founder's in it. So not only athletes are in this, but the directors and coaches too.
Yeah, so it's made up of the athletic director and some head coaches that have just volunteered to serve on this committee.
Okay, and who else is on this committee?
Well, I don't know if I can name them all, but Mr. Ellinghouse is on, the football coach. Mr. Thornton, one of our counselors and head baseball coach. Robin Renner was on it. He's now retired. Todd Sutton was. I don't know. I guess Mr. Sutton wasn't on it. It's made up of varied coaches. I can't name them all, but there's like 7 or 8 of us. Mr. Keller's in there, the head golf coach, and we sit around and make those decisions as a committee.
So who do you consider when a new Hall of Fame class is considered to be inducted?
Well, they have to be nominated first. So somebody gets nominated. They fill out a form that's open to the public, so anybody can nominate anyone, to be considered for the award.
So it's the people's voting?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's a nomination, and then the committee actually gets together and goes over the criteria, and then we cast our ballots, and the higher scores win.
What's on this form? So it's a multi-decision thing. So like whoever gets the most votes gets in, basically.
Yeah. It's and again, we have a great discussion. We don't just look at a piece of paper. We actually have a conversation about what that young man or woman did during their tenure at Neuqua Valley, and then also what they did after they left Neuqua Valley. That also plays a role.
So once someone is nominated, what happens next? How do you guys reach out to the athletes and say, like, you've been inducted in the Hall of Fame? Like what? Yeah,
we actually tell the coach that worked with that athlete, and then they are responsible for contacting that particular athlete or that whole team to let them know, when the ceremony is, and make sure they, get their airfare booked and everything else, because a lot of these athletes are scattered all over the country, because a lot of times it's been 10, 15 years since they've competed for Neuqua Valley.
What are the reactions of these athletes when they find out that they've been inducted into their high school's Athletic Hall of Fame?
They're excited. I can only speak firsthand, but I know when Chris Derrick was nominated and came in for the second Hall of Fame ceremony he was very excited about that. And then our 2007 team last year was inducted. They were state and national champions, and so it was good to see that big crew come back for that ceremony.
All right, and so do the athletes receive anything for this?
Yeah, they get a token. Like we kind of give them these little coasters for their induction, and then there's a plaque that goes up on the wall in the cafeteria. There's a whole wall dedicated to our Hall of Fame recipients.
And so, what is the ceremony like, basically?
So what we do is we have it between the basketball games, so between the freshman sophomore game and the varsity game, and there's a nice little piece that's read about the athlete or the team, and they step out onto the gymnasium floor and receive a round of applause from the audience that's there.
All right, so you said that the cross country 2007 team is in the Hall of Fame state champion, and you were the coach of that team. So what was it like coaching that group of guys?
Well, it was awesome. I mean, that was our very first state championship. It was actually the first trophy that our cross country team had ever won. So to win a state championship, and with Chris Derrick, almost arguably setting the state record at Detweiler, and it was just a lot of fun, to achieve our goals and do what we did.
All right, and so What was their reaction personally to being in the Hall of Fame? 'Cause they accomplished a lot that year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more about, and they've always said this, it's not about winning championships. It's about the friendships and the bonds that you make while you're doing it. And, the Hall of Fame, I guess, for a better word, is an excuse to get back together and see everybody. And obviously, we're very, honored to receive the award. But it's really getting the guys back together and telling the stories about that season and throughout their career that matters. They rarely talk about the actual championship game or what they accomplished. They talk more about the memories during the season than anything else.
So it's a bonding experience.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, so we actually have some footage of the reaction of you guys winning the state championship, and my colleague Noel is going to play that in a few minutes, or right now.
Well, that's my 2009 team. Yeah, that's the 2009 team. Yeah, that's the team that's going to be honored this coming February. That's when my hair wasn't gray.
All right, and so as you said, this year the 2009 team is going to be inducted. So
Right.
I feel to have two teams under your name in the Hall of Fame, because that's
Yeah.
unheard of for any coach, really.
Yeah, it is really an honor. And my 2016 team won too. So, we've been very fortunate. We've had a lot of guys that have been willing to really put the miles in and really work hard. And Illinois is a hard state to win a state championship in cross country. If you look at nationally, cross country, Illinois probably ranks 3rd or 4th in the country in that regard. That particular year in 2009 was really special because going into the meet, we were not favored to win. In fact, the team that was favored to win was ranked #1 in the country. It was Loyola out of Chicago. And this was a really warm day. If you look at that footage, you can see that nobody has a lot of clothes on because it was like in the mid-70s, and that's pretty rare for the first weekend in November. And my team that year had, the reputation of really pacing a 3-mile race out. They didn't get out too fast, but they really embraced passing a bunch of guys the last half of the race. And because it was so warm that day, our strategy worked extra well. In fact, we were 13th at the mile as a team. We were 9th at the 1.5 miles for the halfway point, and we ended up winning the whole thing and beat Loyola that year by, I think, like 13 points. So we were ecstatic when we won that championship.
What was the guys' reaction and your reaction to pulling off that massive upset and winning state for the second time?
Yeah, because some of those guys were on the 2017, right? A couple of those guys like Luke Verbis and David Wing were sophomores, and Aaron Beatty, who was our #1 guy on that 2009 team, they were sophomores on the 2017. So those guys got the opportunity to win a state championship twice, so that was pretty cool.
How does it feel as a coach individually to be in the Hall of Fame twice? Not once, but twice, which is crazy still.
Yeah, it's quite an honor. Yeah, but again, it's not really about that. It's about I get to see these guys, after they've graduated, over 10 years ago, and that's what it's about. I'm looking forward to forming those bonds again.
And so, how's it going to be seeing those runners again, who you've had many memories with again this January when they're inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, the stories will flow, and I don't think we'll talk much about that state championship. We'll talk more about the things that happened during the season, a lot of the summer training that happened up to that point. And I think that's what will dominate our conversations.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Mr. Vandersteen, thank you for joining us today. And this has been Valley Voice. Thank you for watching.